Sylvester Stallone sits at the head of a mahogany dining table in his Los Angeles mansion when his teenage son looks him dead in the eye and says the two words no father ever wants to hear. "You're a failure." The room goes silent. His wife freezes mid-bite. His other children stare at their plates. And what Stallone does in the next 90 seconds doesn't just change dinner, it changes his son's entire understanding of what failure actually means. Los Angeles, California. Spring 1990. The Stallone family home sits in the hills overlooking the city, a monument to success. 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, a home theater, a gym that would make professional athletes jealous. Every corner of this house screams achievement. Every wall decorated with movie posters, awards, photographs of Stallone with presidents, with legends, with icons. This is what success looks like. This is what winning looks like. Except tonight, at this dinner table, none of that matters. Stallone is 43 years old. Rocky IV made $300 million. Rambo is a global phenomenon. He's one of the biggest action stars on the planet. His face is recognizable in every country. His movies play in languages he doesn't speak. He's achieved what most actors only dream about. He's broken through. He's made it. But his 16-year-old son, Sage, doesn't see any of that right now. He sees something else entirely. Dinner started normally. His wife made pasta. The family gathered. Conversation flowed about school, about training, about plans for the weekend. Normal family dinner. Normal rhythms. Then Sage mentioned wanting to pursue acting seriously. Mentioned dropping out of high school to focus on auditions. Mentioned following in his father's footsteps. Stallone said no, firmly, told Sage to finish school first. Education matters. The industry will still be there. You need a foundation. You need backup plans. You need to be prepared for rejection because this business will tear you apart if you're not ready. Sage didn't want to hear it. Got frustrated. Said his father doesn't understand. Said times are different now. Said he has connections. His father never had. Said he has advantages. Said it'll be easier for him. Stallone tried to explain. The connections don't matter if you can't act. The name doesn't matter if you can't deliver. The advantages don't matter if you quit when it gets hard, and it will get hard. Harder than Sage can imagine. This isn't about discouragement. It's about preparation. That's when Sage said it. Voice loud, angry, hurt. What do you know about hard? You got lucky. One movie made you famous. You don't understand real struggle. You're a failure as a father because you don't believe in me. The words hang in the air like smoke, thick, suffocating. Nobody moves. His wife's fork hovers halfway to her mouth. His younger children look terrified. They've never heard their brother talk to their father like this. Never seen this kind of confrontation. Never witnessed this kind of disrespect. Stallone doesn't react, doesn't yell, doesn't argue, just sits there, face calm, eyes steady, looking at his son, really looking at him, seeing the anger, seeing the hurt beneath the anger, seeing a teenager who thinks he knows everything but understands nothing, seeing himself 25 years ago. Amazel shok idisholon, she Stallonen yap to the der. Stallone stands up slowly, walks to his son's chair. For a moment, everyone thinks he's going to explode, going to yell, going to discipline, going to assert authority the way angry fathers do. But he doesn't. He pulls out the chair next to Sage, sits down, gets close, eye level, no barriers, no table between them, just father and son, face to face. Stallone says quietly, "You think I got lucky? You think one movie made me famous?" Sage looks away, arms crossed. Defensive, Stallone continues. "Let me tell you what happened before Rocky. Let me tell you what you don't know." And then Stallone tells a story his son has never heard. Not the Hollywood version, not the inspirational speech version, the real version, the painful version, the version that shows what failure actually looks like when you're living it. He tells Sage about 1975, about being 29 years old, married, Baby on the way, $106 in the bank account, eviction notices piling up, no job, no prospects, no future. He tells him about the auditions, over 1,500 auditions in 3 years. 1,500 times being told he talks funny, looks weird, seems punch drunk, isn't leading man material, isn't supporting actor material, isn't anything material. He tells Sage about the night he had to sell his dog, his best friend, his only companion during those brutal years, had to sell him to a stranger outside a liquor store for $50 because he couldn't afford dog food and couldn't watch his dog starve. He tells him about standing outside that liquor store after the stranger walked away with his dog, standing there crying in public, feeling like the biggest failure in the world. Henus en buik surprise Germidin. Stallone tells Sage about writing Rocky, about the 3.5 days of non-stop writing, fueled by desperation and hope and the absolute certainty that this was his last shot, about finishing the script and knowing it was good, actually good, maybe great, about the producers offering him $125,000 for the script, life-changing money, money that would solve every problem, pay every debt, get his dog back, save his marriage, give his child a future, and about saying no, about insisting he had to star in it, about everyone telling him he was insane. You're not an actor, you're a screenwriter now. Take the money, be smart, this is your chance, don't blow it. And about walking away from $125,000 because he believed in something bigger than security, believed in himself even though nobody else did. Sage is listening now. Really listening. The anger fading. The defenses lowering. Stallone continues. Tells him about the counteroffer. $25,000 for the script, if Stallone stars in it. About taking that deal. About that movie almost going straight to television because nobody believed in it. About the premiere where critics called it predictable, sentimental, unrealistic. About the Oscar nominations. About losing Best Actor. About Rocky winning Best Picture anyway. About vindication. About proof. About showing everyone who doubted him that belief matters more than luck. Thished tam bunoktada, Hershey deisti, but Stallone doesn't stop there. He tells Sage about after Rocky, about Rocky 2 being called a cash grab, Rocky 3 being called cartoonish, about First Blood being recut by the studio, about the failures between the successes, about Rhinestone flopping, about Cobra being destroyed by critics, about Over the Top being a joke, about Oscar failing, about Lockup disappointing. He tells him about the movies nobody remembers, the projects that died, the scripts that never got made, the ideas that went nowhere, about being told he was washed up at 35, finished at 40. Has been making desperate sequels, about the industry that built him up tearing him down just as quickly. Stallone looks at his son, says, "You called me a failure. You're right. I am. I've failed hundreds of times. I've failed more than you've even tried. But you know what I've never done? I've never let failure define me. I've never let it stop me. I've never quit." He says, "You think success is what's hanging on these walls? The posters? The awards? That's not success. That's evidence of survival. Success is getting back up. Success is believing when nobody else does. Success is selling your dog and then buying him back when Rocky sells. Success is hearing no 1,500 times and still showing up for audition 1,501. Der Bier Dakika Bu Detea Kachirma." Stallone tells Sage, "You want to be an actor? Good, I support that, but you don't get to take shortcuts. You don't get to skip the struggle. The struggle is what builds you. The rejection is what tests you. The failure is what teaches you. You want my name to open doors? Fine, but once you're through that door, you're on your own. And if you're not ready, if you haven't prepared, if you think connections and luck are enough, you'll get destroyed." He says, "I'm not telling you to finish school because I don't believe in you. I'm telling you to finish school because I do believe in you. Because I know what's coming. I know how hard it is. I know what this industry does to unprepared people. And I love you too much to watch you get broken by something you could have prepared for. Sage is crying now. Not loud, just tears running down his face. Silent, heavy, his anger completely gone, replaced by understanding, by shame, by realization of what he said, how he said it, what he accused his father of. Den Nayakaksen, Stallone reaches over, puts his hand on his son's shoulder, says, "You called me a failure as a father. Maybe you're right about that too. Maybe I haven't explained enough. Maybe I've protected you too much from my past. Maybe I've let you see the results without showing you the process. That's on me. But I'm telling you now. I'm showing you now. This is what it takes. This is what it costs. This is what failure looks like before it becomes success." He says, "The question isn't whether you'll fail. You will. Everyone does. The question is what you do after. Do you quit? Do you blame others? Do you make excuses? Or do you learn? Do you grow? Do you get better? That's the only question that matters." Sage wipes his eyes, says quietly, "I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't know. I didn't understand." Stallone pulls him into a hug, says, "Now you do. And that's okay. That's how we learn, through mistakes, through saying things we shouldn't, through confronting hard truths. This dinner, this conversation, this is us getting better together." The family sits in silence for a moment, processing, absorbing, feeling the weight of honesty, the power of vulnerability, the strength in admitting failure. Then Stallone's wife speaks, says to Sage, "Your father sold his dog, but you know what he did the minute Rocky sold? Before paying bills, before buying food, before anything else? He went back to that liquor store, found the man who bought his dog, paid him $15,000 to get his dog back. That's who your father is. That's what matters to him." Chimdi Gurduklarin Hitzbershay. Sage looks at his father differently now, sees him not as this untouchable success, not as this action hero, not as this larger-than-life figure, but as a human being who suffered, who struggled, who failed repeatedly and kept going anyway, who loves his family more than his career, who values loyalty over opportunity, who understands that real strength isn't about muscles or money, it's about character. Years pass. Sage finishes high school, goes to college, studies acting properly, gets training, builds foundation, eventually acts in several films, including one with his father, learns the craft, respects the process, never forgets the dinner conversation, never forgets what his father taught him about failure and success and the difference between the two. In 1996, Sage tells an interviewer about that night. Says it was the most important conversation he ever had with his father. Says he's grateful his father didn't coddle him, didn't let the insult slide, didn't avoid the confrontation. Instead, used it as a teaching moment. Used vulnerability as strength. Used his own failures as lessons. Sage says, "My father could have yelled at me, could have punished me, could have pulled rank and authority and all that, but he didn't. He showed me his scars. He showed me his pain. He showed me that success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about surviving it. That changed everything for me." The interviewer asks what Sage learned that night. Sage thinks carefully, says, "I learned that my father isn't successful because he's talented. He's successful because he's resilient, because he refused to quit, because he believed in himself when the entire world told him not to. And I learned that if I want his success, I can't skip his struggle. I have to earn it the same way he did." Ama, asol shok edishi olan she, Sajin o yemek masasandan sonra aldığı karardır. Sage becomes an advocate for mental health. Talks openly about pressure, about expectations, about growing up in a famous family, about the weight of a legendary name, about the difference between privilege and preparation, about how that dinner with his father probably saved him from years of resentment and misunderstanding. He tells young actors, "Failure isn't your enemy. Quitting is, blame is, excuses are. But failure is your teacher. It's your foundation. It's your proof that you tried something hard. My father taught me that, not through a lecture, through honesty, through showing me his failures before I ever saw his success." Tragically, Sage Stallone dies in 2012 at age 36. Heart disease. Sudden, unexpected, devastating. At his funeral, Sylvester Stallone speaks, tells the story of that dinner one more time, tells hundreds of people about the night his son called him a failure, about the conversation that followed, about the relationship it built. Through tears, Stallone says, "Sage taught me something that night too. He taught me that being a father isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. It's about showing your children that adults struggle too, that success isn't a destination, it's a process, that failure isn't something to hide from your kids, it's something to share with them so they know they're not alone when they fail." He says, "Every time one of my movies fails, every time a critic destroys something I made, every time I face rejection, I think about that dinner. I think about my son's face. I think about how honesty saved our relationship. And I'm grateful for the courage to be vulnerable, grateful for the strength to admit my failures instead of hiding them. Ise tambu noktata hershey dxd." Today, Stallone still tells this story, uses it in interviews when young actors ask for advice, uses it in speeches about resilience, uses it in conversations about fatherhood, says it's one of the most important moments of his life, not because he won an argument, not because he proved his son wrong. He tells them, "My son called me a failure at dinner. He was 16 and angry and didn't understand. I could have crushed him, could have listed my achievements, could have put him in his place. But what good would that have done? Instead, I showed him my humanity. I showed him my struggles. I showed him that failure is universal, and that changed both of us." Stallone says, the lesson isn't about success. It's about honesty, about vulnerability, about teaching the next generation that failure is part of the journey, not the end of it. That struggle is valuable. That rejection builds character, that the path to success is paved with failures, and that's okay. That's normal. That's how it works for everyone. Who in your life thinks you got lucky? Who doesn't see your failures? Who only sees your success and assumes it came easy? And more importantly, are you hiding your struggles from the people who need to hear them? Are you pretending success is effortless? Are you robbing someone of the lesson they need by protecting them from your pain? Because 90 seconds of honesty changed Stallone's relationship with his son. 90 seconds of vulnerability turned an insult into understanding. 90 seconds of truth built a foundation that lasted until Sage's death and beyond. That's what real strength looks like. Not muscles, not money, not fame. Honesty, vulnerability. The courage to say, "Yes, I failed, many times. And here's what I learned." Your failures are your greatest teaching tool. Don't hide them, share them. Because someone needs to hear that successful people fail too. That struggle is normal. That the path is hard for everyone. That they're not alone. Stallone taught his son that night. But the lesson echoes for decades. For everyone who hears this story. For everyone who realizes that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. So the next time someone calls you a failure, maybe they're right. Maybe you are. And maybe that's exactly what makes you qualified to teach them what success actually costs.